Hello everyone, welcome to QA Stack. Today we are going to see how we can automate an API request using Cypress. So let's see how we can automate a basic GET request using Cypress and JavaScript. So I have Cypress already running in my machine, and I have also opened the folder in my editor, that is VS Code. So without further ado, let's just create a file under integration folder. Let's name it API get request.js. Let's launch this file. Okay, so now we're good to go. So let's just start. So for automating a GET request, let's just pick one GET request from Google. So this is a portal where you can find n number of requests for practice. Here you can find get, post, and all the kind of requests. So let's just pick one URL. Let's say this one, and let's see, once we do a simple get, it returns these results. So let's go back to our editor, and in our script, let's write the description first. So the description is how to hit get request. Again, we will be writing one int block. Get request trigger. Now to hit any request, you have to use the syntax cy.request. Inside this, you have to provide the request in JSON format. The mandatory parameter is URL. So here we'll be pasting our get URL. Now let's see how it executes. So it has already been executed, as you can see. And in the right hand side, you won't see anything because this screen is to display any web application. But since we are working on request, so there will be no output from the screen. Now, once we hit the get request, second step would be how to validate the status or response code. So to validate response code, first we need to capture the response as an object. Here we will be getting the response, and with this response, again we will be creating one block. Inside it, we can write all the assertion criteria. So the first assertion which we are trying to make is on the status. And to validate it to 200, we have to use the syntax to.equal 200. Now let's run our script and see. Yes, it's already been executed, showing assert expected 200 to be equal to 200. Now let's say we have to validate any response field. Going back to a response, let's say we want to validate this total is 1949. To validate the response, have to get response dot body, then dot, you have to provide the path which you want to read. In this case, it would be meta dot pagination dot total. Meta dot pagination property total is to 949. total equal to 1949. Let's see how it executes. Yeah, it get passed. Also, if you want to log any of the fields, let's say we want to log the current URL. So the path would be response.body.meta.pagination.links.current. So for logging, we have to use the method cy.log. Now let's see how it executes. So here it has logged this URL. Back to our response. This is URL which is displayed over here. So this is how we can automate a simple GET request, and we can validate the status and other fields. Now let's see how we can validate the nested JSONs. Let's go back to our response, close this meta option. In this data, so under this data you can find multiple elements. So let's see how we can access these. Going back to our editor, let's create a separate test case. Validate response for nested JSON. So this time we have to find out how to point to the first ID or the second ID, like that. So path in this case would be response.body.data, and then you have to provide the item number. If you want to access the first field, you have to provide the item ID as 0. For the second one, it's 1, and the like. So let's just access the first element, and in this first element we will be going to validate the ID. So to have dot property ID to be equals to 11. Let's see this test case executed. Validate response for nested JSON. This is the status validation. To have property ID expected 11 to be equal to 11. It's passed. So that's how you can verify a nested response as well. So that was it for this session. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching this video, and happy testing.